heard about us yet, well, you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well, you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swish.
You guys for joining us for the first edition of the Fight Report with Malik Wright, aka Wright Report. I'm with my guy Evan Theoharis. And Evan, let me just start off by saying, man, I'm so excited that we're starting the show, man. These are things that you and I have been talking about for years, like literal years. When I was recruiting you to come to TWS and recruiting you to come work with us, because I don't believe anybody works for me, but I think people work with me. And, you know, our love for the game, I think, has shown forth in our work through and through and through. I mean, I've done interviews with guys like Dana White. One of my first interviews was with Sugar Sean O'Malley, right? The future bantamweight champion. I've done interviews with guys like Jamal Hill, the voice of the UFC, John Anik, and they all told me the same exact thing. Hey, man, you should start an MMA show. You really should. It shouldn't just be a segment. You know, I've been giving out betting advice when it pertains to UFC for literally years, over 6 years. And I gotta think that I'm a pretty profitable dude when it comes to the sport. But I'm looking forward to coming at you guys each and every single Friday with my guy Evan at noon to break down the fights, whether it's a pay-per-view card, right? Whether it's a regular fight night card. Me and Evan are up watching Singapore cards, the whole 9 yards. We've literally not missed a card. I don't know when I could tell you that I have missed a card, guys, honestly. So I'm really excited to be diving into this, man. Ev, talk to me a little bit. But what are you looking forward to the most?
Man, I've been looking forward to being on this show for years now. We've been talking about it. We started talking about it a lot over the summer, and then just over this 6-week break, getting the show together. I mean, I'm so happy this has actually come to fruition, and I'm just pumped to get into it.
Man, well, I think we should do just that. We should jump right into it. UFC 324 is taking place tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow.
Not even a couple days away. It's literally tomorrow. And why is that such a big deal? Well, the UFC's been MIA for the past 5 weeks. Why, might you ask? Well, UFC is officially now partnered with Paramount Plus, right? And all of the fights are going to be on the Paramount Plus app. And the best thing about this for a lot of UFC folks that like watching the sport, it's no longer the pay-per-view model, meaning you no longer have to pay pay-per-view for it, right? And I think that's a really cool experience for fight fans, especially for people who are just looking for things to do on the Saturday night. It makes the sport a whole lot more accessible.
Yeah.
And man, I think we should just start with our prelim fights, which we're going to get up. Let's start with Ty Miller taking on Adam Fugitt. Ev, give me your thoughts on this fight.
Yeah, I like this fight to start off the card. You know, you bring in a debut guy. He had a really fun fight on the Contender Series, Ty Miller. He went a hard 3. He put a lot of shots on a guy that he couldn't get him down, but I really like his boxing base. He's young, he's 25. But I do think this line to me is a little wide for Adam Fugitt. He's 2-3 in the UFC. His losses are to pretty high-end guys. He lost to Michael Morales. He lost to Mike Malott, who's right in that top 15 range. And he just lost to Islam Dulatov, who looks like a legitimate rising prospect. I don't know if I have the same thoughts on Miller as I do on those guys. But because of his age and because I know they're really trying to push him into the PI, get him work with top guys, my lean is still with Miller. Like I said, the line is wide, so I definitely wouldn't bet on the money line. But if you want to bet on this fight, I do think Miller by decision at plus 260 feels like a pretty good line.
You know, I see this fight playing out very interesting. And what I mean by that is I do agree with you. I do think Adam Fugitt is the veteran here. And if you turn on a fight of his and you watch it, well, this dude has a way of trying to grind on his opponents, right? He's not the strongest striker. He's not the best wrestler. He's just a grinder. I think that's just the best way to describe him. And I think when you talk about a veteran versus an up-and-coming rookie. You know, you're going to get these moments in fights where, guess what? The rookie is going to be a fish out of water. Minus 420. Daniel said it best. Minus 420 for a debut is pretty scary. I agree.
It is.
So let me tell you how I see this playing out. I think Adam Fugitt is going to shrink that line massively in the first round. I think it could even make people think that Adam Fugitt is going to win this fight in the first round. Why? Rookie jitter is not really sure if you're cut out for the UFC for a guy in 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗦𝗢𝗪. Plus, I don't trust people with 2 letters in their first name. But I think this guy is going to struggle right away. I think Adam Fugitt is going to be the veteran. He's going to be in there that's going to say, let me start fast. Let me put it on this young guy. And then hopefully tire this guy out, get the jitters all out, and then win this fight by decision or maybe find a late finish. But I don't see it playing out that way. I think Adam Fugitt is going to start fast, and then I think 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 is going to come on strong in the second round, come on strong in the third round. And by then, you got to ask yourself, will 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 find what everybody on social media is basically saying is going to find, which is the knockout? I think 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 wins this fight. But, folks, this is where I use my expertise, and I know Evan's pretty excited about him and I changing barbs this year. This is where I say this is a live bet spot.
Yeah.
This is a live bet spot. And guess what? If 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 goes out there and knocks him out in the first round, you don't lose on this. You don't lose on it. This line is way too wide because I do believe 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 can finish him. I do also see a path to victory for 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 via decision. I just think it's going to come after he goes through a little bit of trouble. I think it's going to come after he deals with a little bit of pressure, maybe a little bit of pressure he wasn't really anticipating. So for this fight, I think 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 wins this fight, but this is 100% a live bet spot. Hey, even on FanDuel, you can go out there and say, hey, I'm going to live bet it. Or maybe you want to take what Malik's saying right now. You say, I'm so confident in what Malik is saying, as you should be. And you say, I'm going to take 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 by knockout in rounds 2 or 3. That could be a good prop. What are your thoughts, Ev?
Yeah, I really like that. I do think that first round is going to be tough for him. You mentioned it. Fugitt is a legitimate grinder. He's going to go out. He's going to look to pressure with some leg kicks, try and put you up against the fence, even look for some takedowns. And he does everything decent. So for a guy who hasn't had experience at the UFC level, that can be tough to deal with. But I think if Miller can make it through and not get overwhelmed by a guy who's been in there before, if he lets his hands go, I really just don't see how Fugitt has a long-term defense plan for that. And that's why I have him on the cards, but I do like a second or third round knockout as well.
Well, guess what? If you really like a second or third round knockout, you can get it on FanDuel at plus 240. Him to win by knockout in rounds 2 or 3. Take your money to the bank. But either way, Evan and I both like 𝗦𝗢𝗦𝗧 in this fight. We probably just like it a little bit later. Moving on up the card, we got a bantamweight fight. Ricky Turcios, who is the most interesting fighter on the roster for some of the most interesting reasons. He's taking on a guy in Cameron Smotherman. I know people right now are telling you Ricky Turcios is going to get knocked out. I'm not there personally. Ricky is a guy who I've seen take some big shots. He just doesn't seem to fade. He's a guy that's, again, talk about another guy who his cardio is his weapon.
Yeah.
But in saying that, while his cardio is his weapon, he's really not the most talented fighter. Cameron Smotherman is very talented. He's very technical. I think Cameron Smotherman wins this fight, but I think Cameron Smotherman wins this fight more often on the scorecards than I think he does by finish. What are your thoughts, Evan?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you exactly there. I have Cameron Smotherman in this fight. I just can't look past the talent difference here. Ricky Turcios, he's wild. He's all over the place. I do think the path for victory to him is if he can just overwhelm with the cardio and then get the grappling going later in the fight, because I do think there's some question marks around Smotherman's defensive grappling. But I just think if he's game planning the right way here, his striking advantage, his technical striking advantage, especially in the boxing exchanges, it's going to be too far of a level that Turcios is not going to be able to handle in the pocket. If I'm betting this, I'm probably just going to roll with the money line at right around minus 200.
Yeah.
But because I do think he has the power to put him down, but I'm not feeling confident enough to say go for the knockout here. But I am going to roll with Cameron Smotherman in this fight.
Man, I like the way you think. I want to move on up the card, heavyweight division. We've got Josh Hokit, right? The real American going on against Denzel Freeman, who, I'll be honest with you, I don't think is really good. Let me just say it right now. I know a lot of people think, surprisingly, I think a lot of folks are taking Josh Hokit to win this fight by decision. I think Josh Hokit finishes him. That's where I stand with this, man. I think Josh Hokit finishes him. I just can't pick which way he finishes him. It could be by KO, it could be by submission. Either way is plus money. And I kind of like the sound of that. What are your thoughts, Evan?
Yeah, I'm right with you there too. I think, you got Josh Hokit now. He's the new breed of the Chael Sonnen, Colby Covington kind of thing with the real American act he's got going on. I liked Denzel Freeman a lot more before his last fight. I liked what I saw of him in LFA. I thought he had a good game plan. He's got a good all-around skill set with a wrestling base. But then his unwillingness to actually get anything, like throw anything, and just rely on a leg kick and a jab the whole time was not a good watch. I think Hokit is just going to basically sprint him, and I think the athletic advantage is going to be way too much for Freeman to handle. I like a finish. I actually like a finish in the first round. I think if you want to bet on this first round finish, I think that's a great bet. So yeah, I'm rolling with Josh Hokit by a finish, and we get a classic Josh Hokit Mike moment at the end of the fight.
Well, I think we can go a little deeper into that, man. I think Josh Hokit is gonna, like you said, it's a jab and a leg kick, from Denzel Freeman. I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be nearly enough. I think Josh Hokit is going to be a guy that's going to go out there and pose as well, going to try to force the action, force you into a spot where you make, a bad decision and just outclass you. And this is what I see happening here, man. Do you see any path to victory for Denzel Freeman? And if you do, what is it?
I think there's a slight path to victory, and I think that's if Hokit does exactly what we said he just does. He goes out there and he sprints at Freeman, and Freeman's unwillingness to throw was more of first fight jitters, and he's actually got a little bit more than he showed against I think it was Marek Bulo in his first fight, and that Hokit tires himself out looking for a finish, and that Freeman just picks him apart in the later rounds and wins a decision. I don't think that's going to happen, but if it happens, that's how it will.
I'm there with you. But either way, we both are taking Josh Hokit. One thing I do want to look up really quickly while we're live on the show, if you were to take Josh Hokit to win in round one, it's sitting at plus 340. I think if Josh Hokit's going to find a finish, which I think he's going to find a finish, it's going to come either in the first or second round. But the value is really there. If you don't want to just take submission, if you don't want to take knockout, maybe you want to say, hey, Josh Hokit's going to win outright in the first round. First round, plus 340. Second round, plus 500. You get value either way. There is a world, right? Because you talk about a guy in Denzel Freeman who has a ton of experience. Maybe he is able to last and withstand the pressure of Josh Hokit in the first round. That's a tall task to do at the heavyweight division, for 5 minutes. That's extremely tough to do. For those reasons, I really think Josh Hokit, I'm right there with you. I think Josh Hokit does get him out of there in the first round. Plus 340 is calling my name. And I think I just found one of my favorite plays of the day. And not only that, this is a play that I'm going to put on the Patreon. You can find me and Evan's picks on the TWSN Patreon. That is where we give all our fight picks for each and every single card. And man, we are expecting to have a huge year. Again, new look on the UFC with them having the Paramount Plus deal, new show. Man, I think we're going to come out firing this year. I think us launching the show is going to make us dive even deeper if that's even possible, right? Because we've been so locked in when it comes to this sport. But moving on up the card, before we do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live, when we upload content. On the Sit Downs channel with Malik Wright, you get interviews, you get live shows, you get now UFC shows, analysis, and breakdown. So make sure you guys are tuning in each and every single week for this show. Lightweight division, Michael Johnson, who I grew up watching, taking on Anthony Hernandez, another guy who I grew up watching. These are two old vets going at it. I don't like either at this stage of the career, but I think I like Anthony Hernandez a little bit more than I like Michael Johnson. But what are your thoughts, Ev?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I just looked up the odds for this fight though, and some weird line movement going on right now.
Really?
Alexander Hernandez, who yesterday was a minus 170 favorite, has dropped all the way to minus 115. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. I had Alexander Hernandez as my pick. I don't know if there's something going on at the weigh-ins right now that I'm not sure about. But my pick was with Alexander Hernandez, and so was my bet here. I liked his money line at -170. If nothing weird is going on, I like his money line at -115 even more. I like this fight though. I think this is a fun one. These guys are two guys I kind of counted out about 2 years ago. I thought they'd probably both be off the roster by this point. Just Michael Johnson aging and Alexander Hernandez not really living up to the potential I think everybody thought he had. But they've really turned it around. They're both riding multi-fight win streaks at this point. Michael
Whoa.
Johnson's
Not just win streaks, okay? Alexander Hernandez has knocked out his last 2 opponents.
Yeah.
One of those opponents being the up and coming Chase Hooper. The other one
True.
is a guy who we're not used to really seeing being finished like that in Diego Ferreira.
No.
Okay, so we got to put some respect on. Alexander Hernandez has been a dog.
Yes. I was also really impressed with Michael Johnson's win over Daniel Zellhuber. I thought he had real no path to victory in that fight, and he proved me wrong there. Just toughed that one out and just looked like the far superior fighter in that one. But you just mentioned it. Alexander Hernandez has knocked out his last 2 opponents, Chase Hooper and Diego Ferreira. And Diego Ferreira, who is somebody is known to be very resilient in there. I just think that Alexander Hernandez's speed at this point in his career is too far beyond Michael Johnson. And Michael Johnson, we've seen take some nasty knockouts in his UFC career. Alexander Hernandez has legitimate power. He's shown that in his last 2 fights. He could walk into something with bad defense. That's not out of the question. But if I'm siding here, I definitely think Hernandez is more likely to find the chin of Johnson and finish this one by knockout.
And you know what? If I'm going off of what Evan is speculating here, well, I kind of like it. The odds say if Alexander Hernandez was to find a finish via knockout, it'd be +360.
Wow.
Again, you're giving me Josh Hokit to win, right? Let's just make something real quick. I usually do this with Daniel, but you mean to tell me back-to-back fights, if I were to take Josh Hokit, right, to win in round 1, and I pair that up with Alexander Hernandez, that's +1924.
Wow.
You could parlay those, and
That's
you're
crazy.
cashing. You're taking Alexander Hernandez to, again, a real probable opportunity that this happens, by the way. Real probable chances happens. Josh Hokit to win in round 1. I think the chances of that happening is very high. Alexander Hernandez to win by knockout, +360. I think the chances of that are extremely high. You pair those together at +11920. You mean back-to-back fights, you get a chance to walk home with a bag?
You even bet $10 on that. You're walking home with almost 200.
Man, listen, I think I'm not gonna say it outright just yet, because obviously I'm gonna say my picks for the Patreon, hint. But I think if there's a parlay, a miniature parlay that I like for this card, for the prelims, I think I love those 2 together.
Yeah.
Hell, even if you sprinkle, because I'm very confident Alexander Hernandez wins this fight by knockout. Well, what if you then take Josh Hokit to win in round 2 as well, right? Let's say like you want to split it up. Let's say you got $20. You do 10 on him to win in the first round, 10 on him to win, and the second round, pair that up with Alexander Hernandez knockout. You're walking home pretty rich. I like that, Ev. Ev, I think we just found our first miniature parlay to play of the day. So give it to me, man. I like that. Let's keep the conversation rolling, man. We've got Nikita Krylov taking on Modestas Bukauskas. And be honest with you, I don't understand this line. I don't like Modestas Bukauskas. And this could be my first underdog pick of the card. I like Nikita Krylov. I understand why people are low on Nikita Krylov. I'm just not as high on Modestas. And I think that Nikita has more pathways to victory. But tell me why I'm wrong, Evan. Or right.
Yeah, I'm not going to outright say you're wrong, because I think that's a bad idea. But I am siding with Bukauskas. I'm not like somebody who thinks Bukauskas is a future champion or future title challenger. I'm just someone who really sides with these momentum swings, and I think Nikita Krylov is on a really bad turn right now.
I agree.
His chin looks absolutely shot. It's bad. I think no matter what, I think somebody's going out in this fight. I think either Krylov gets a finish or Bukauskas gets a finish. I don't think either of them have very sound defense. But Bukauskas has shown, I think, improvements since he was cut from the UFC the first time, for sure. against most top 10 light heavyweights or top 15
Mhm.
light heavyweights, I'm gonna pick them over 𝗦𝗢𝗟𝗏𝗏s, but I just can't get past how touchy Krylov's chin looks right now. Um, I think there's going to be a couple wild exchanges, and I think 𝗦𝗢𝗟𝗏𝗏s will probably find the chin. But this isn't one I'm very confident on. But I do like somebody to get finished in this fight.
Yeah, I think somebody definitely does get finished in this fight. And we got a question on the comment section. How do I get to the Patreon? Well, the link is down below. If you want to join the Patreon, you want to get our picks, you want to get our plays, they're down below in the description. Again, while I have you all here, if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we do upload content from the TWSN studios. I want to go to an outrageous line, but a line that I understand for all the reasons, right? We've got I want to make sure I say his name correct. 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗦𝗢𝗪 taking on 𝗦𝗛𝗢𝗎𝗪. Tell me who you got in this fight. Although I think I already know who you got in this fight. I think I know the fashion in which you got this guy in the fight. It's really just goddamn, is it gonna happen in a second? Is it gonna happen in a minute? Is it gonna happen in 3 minutes? But Evan, talk me through it.
Yeah, I mean, you hinted at it. 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗦𝗢 is the far superior fighter. The line is known. The only question around him is, he's fought probably 3 worse middleweights on the roster in his first 3 fights. But I don't hate that for him. He's only 23, and he's just an athletic beast. Something that I was looking at here, though, I really love the line on Gaethje to win in round 1. Last time I checked, it was -120. I mean, you're getting that at almost even odds for a guy who should just overwhelm Andre Pulev. I mean, Pulev had a scrap with Nick Klein in his last fight, who, let's be honest, he's not 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗢. I think this is just going to be another one of his classic just run through a guy. I think this is done in under 2 minutes.
Well,
And then I think,
the line's pretty good right now. If you want to get him by knockout in the first round, is -110.
yeah,
It's -110.
it's dropped then because it was -120 last time I saw it. So -110. I mean, yeah, you're getting that at almost even money. I'm taking that all day. I think that might be one of my favorite plays of the night, and probably will be on the Patreon.
Well, are we getting some news regarding one of the fights? Cameron Smotherman apparently passed out after
all right.
weigh-ins. So I was wondering why the lines were a little close for that fight. I don't know if that fight is going to continue.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look it up right now myself, but yeah, no, I think that if it were to continue, how confident are you still in the Cameron Smotherman pick?
Well, if this fight continues and he's passed out after weighing in, that's
oh my God, there's actual legit video. He really did pass out while he was walking off. There's no way that fight continues.
There's no way that fight continues.
There's no way that fight continues. That fight is definitely off, man. And even if he does continue, I've never seen that. Wow.
No.
I've never seen that. Wow. Yeah, there's no way that fight continues. It's just no way. But anyway, I want to keep the conversation moving on. There's a fight that I'm looking forward to, man. One we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about just yet. It is Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Deiveson Figueiredo. Evan, I'm excited to break this fight down with you, my man. But I'm going to let you do the honors, man. Because even though this is on the prelims, well, make no mistake about it. This is a main card fight.
Yeah.
This is a fight of the night pay-per-view main event. Talk me through it. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, first off, love the graphic on the side here. Looks great.
That's our team, man. Shout out.
The line here, last time I checked, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Umar is a 16-1 favorite, I think, in this fight.
Yeah.
And when I first looked at that, I was blown away. I knew he'd be the favorite. I knew he'd be a large favorite. But then the more I thought about the fight, I'm starting to realize I think the line is a little bit more legitimate than I first assumed that it was. Figueiredo is he's had a great career. He's the former flyweight champion. I just really don't know how he can win this fight other than, I think he said it in an interview, it only takes one punch. Problem is the guy hasn't had a knockout in 6 years, and it was at flyweight. I struggle to believe that he's going to be able to find a knockout on Umar Nurmagomedov. And I really don't know what he does better than Umar at this point in their career. Figueiredo just won, I think it was a split decision against Montel Jackson, and Montel
Yeah.
Jackson is not the same fighter as Umar.
But
I
he
think
did
this
look good.
shows
We got to give him credit. He did look damn good
he did,
against Montel Jackson.
yeah, I mean, he's still got great skills. I know I have no hate on Deiveson Figueiredo. He's been one of the most entertaining fighters of the last 5 years. I just don't know what he does better than Umar at really at anything. I think Umar's he's obviously the far better pure wrestler. He's going to have a reach advantage, not very much, but he'll have a little bit of a reach advantage. He's an underrated striker for sure. He's got just a great balanced skill set. I think Umar is also incredibly hungry for a title shot. He's trying to prove that he can get back to the top. Took a fight with Mario Bautista. Now he's taking a fight with Figueiredo on the prelims under the Sean O'Malley fight, even though he's, I think, ranked the higher or one spot below Sean O'Malley. He's just trying to go out there and prove that he deserves to get back to the top here. I do believe he's probably the best bantamweight fighter, talent for talent. Maybe Petr Yan has him beat on that, but it's 1 and 2 right there. I think Umar's going to win this fight. I do think Figueiredo has enough defensive grappling skills to make this a decision. And I also don't think Umar's going to TKO him. I think Umar's going to win this by a decision, but because of how big the line is, this is a tough one to bet.
You know, as much as I want to agree with you and side with you, and a part of me does side with you, I think Umar Nurmagomedov needs a finish. I think he needs a finish. Now, that being said, Figgy is extremely difficult to finish.
Yeah.
That's not a walk in the park, right? You said he's one of the more talented fighters we watched in the last 7 years, right? This guy was dominant at flyweight.
Yeah.
Right? And I think when we look at it, man, I do side with Umar Nurmagomedov to win this fight by finish, but by submission. I think Umar Nurmagomedov can finish Deiveson Figueiredo. I do believe the line should be either Umar Nurmagomedov to win this fight via submission or via points. I agree with you. I don't know if he's going to knock out Deiveson Figueiredo. That being said, he could knock out Deiveson Figueiredo. It is a weird. It's a weird one, man. It's a weird one, but I agree with you. The line is just extremely massive. We both like Umar Nurmagomedov in this fight. Can we both agree as well? The fight probably should have been Sean O'Malley versus Umar Nurmagomedov.
Oh, for sure.
That's probably what it should have been.
If we wanted to make a legitimate #1 contenders fight at bantamweight, I mean, that's the fight to make. I just think that Umar probably would have tried to go and ragdoll him, and they didn't want that as a co-main event to start off the year.
I agree. I think Song Yadong versus Deiveson Figueiredo could have been one, and I think that Sean O'Malley versus Umar would have made more sense. But moving on up the card, we both side with Umar Nurmagomedov. Let's go to Arnold Allen taking on John Silva. Man, this is a banger.
Awesome fight.
This has finish written all over it. You got woo, woo, woo. You got the dog, right? And John Silva. By the way, I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know why he does that. I don't know why he barks like he's a goddamn dog all the time. But who you got in this fight, man? It's been a long time since we've seen Arnold Allen in the octagon, it feels. But, man, if there's anybody that's going to be able to push John Silva, is anybody's going to be able to break John Silva, if that's such a thing, because Diego Lopes did that, I feel like it's going to be Arnold Allen. That being said, I don't know if I'm picking Arnold Allen. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you already said this is an awesome fight. Arnold Allen and John Silva. This is just pure chaos.
Violence.
I'm pretty sure they're calling it what have they called it? The battle of autism? Is that what they're calling this fight now? Yeah,
I did hear that.
This is going to be fun. John Silva, I actually picked him in that Diego Lopes fight. I picked him wrong in that Diego Lopes fight.
Against who, by the way? Who?
Against Diego Lopes.
Yeah, no, but who'd you go head to head with that?
Yeah, you got Diego Lopes in that.
Oh, okay, I just making sure.
And I think what my concern was proven in that fight, was that I think there's some real fight IQ concerns with him. I was even concerned with the Bryce Mitchell fight when I was watching it, because he was clearly, to me, when watching that fight, a level above Bryce Mitchell. He was the better fighter.
Easily.
He was the better striker. he knew he could win that fight pretty much any way he wanted to do it. And he played with his food way too much for me in that fight. He was really wanted that ninja choke. He got it, but there were just times I thought he could have been doing more just to finish the fight earlier. And then with Diego Lopes took him down. I think it was 3 times in that fight. And Diego Lopes is a great grappler. I'm not sure he's an elite wrestler per se,
That's fair.
so I do still have concerns about John Silva's takedown defense, and I have concerns about his output. And for that reason, I'm taking my first upset of the night, and I'm going to side with Arnold Allen in this one.
Wow.
If he comes out and he's got real ring rust in this fight, I wouldn't be completely surprised. It has been a year and a half since he's fought, and John Silva is an absolute pace pusher. But I think Arnold Allen's defense is so sound. I think he's just going to be able to frustrate John Silva throughout this fight. I wouldn't be surprised to see him mix in some takedowns. I was wondering why he didn't do more of that against 𝗦𝗢𝗥𝗦𝗢𝗪 in his last fight, because Giga is not a very good defensive wrestler, and Arnold Allen has definitely an underrated takedown game. He's just willing to stand there and throw with people. The fight that I really like from what I saw of Arnold Allen was the 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗦𝗢𝗪 fight. I know he lost that fight, but he put on a great performance against 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗦𝗢𝗪. It was a close fight. It was probably the second best I've seen behind the Diego Lopes.
I think we lost Evan. But I think Evan was of the belief basically that essentially, Arnold Allen was going to outpace him. I think he thought Arnold Allen had a better IQ than John Silva. While I agree with Evan for all those things, I feel like John Silva is going to correct the mistakes that he made. I don't think those mistakes will rear its ugly head again. I like John Silva to win this fight. And, when I'm looking at the line, John Silva has definite KO power. He also has submission upside. I like John Silva to win this fight by KO. But when you look at the line, John Silva to win this fight by KO is sitting at plus 170, when you can go and take John Silva to win this fight by either KO or submission at plus, I think it was plus 130. To me, that's not that big of a difference to where I feel like I need to side with the KO versus getting equal value on either a KO or a submission. Because if this fight were to go to decision, I don't know, with the volume concerns, the showmanship of a John Silva. I don't know if I like him. And I agree with Daniel. I think that if you are going to go with the Arnold Allen side, or if you're going to go with the decision side of this fight, it's going to probably be in all likelihood be Arnold Allen. That's just my thoughts. But Evan, you want to finish up your thoughts there?
Oh yeah, sorry. I don't know what happened with the cutout there, but
the gods knew that you were about to cook, and they said, Ed, save it for the Patreon. Don't tell these people what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, like you had just said with Arnold Allen by decision, I do think that there's some fight IQ problems with John Silva, and I think that could become a problem with his output. And I think if Arnold Allen just consistently, you look at Arnold Allen, he's never been finished his entire MMA career, and John Silva is a pure finisher. So this is going to be a test for him if he's going to be able to finish this fight. You also see that John Silva, anytime a fight goes to the scorecards, he's 1-2. He puts it all out there. I think Arnold Allen is going to be content to make this a fun fight, but I think he has good enough defense that he's going to be able to hang with John Silva and land more. We saw that John Silva also took a lot of shots from Diego Lopes. You saw what his head looked like after that fight. So I'm taking Arnold Allen by a decision. Wouldn't surprise me if John Silva's finishing ability just wins him this fight and he is the first to knock out Arnold Allen or submit him. But at an over 2-1 underdog, I do like Arnold Allen to win this fight.
I hear you on that. Listen, at the end of the day, man, I gotta go with my gut. Arnold Allen hasn't fought in a year.
Yeah,
he's rusty. John Silva wants this. The fighting nerds, he wants all of this, right? Is he still with the fighting nerds? I don't know if he still is. I
think he is.
I saw some reports where he was training with other people and all this stuff like that. I don't know how true, or maybe it was Carlos Pratt. I don't remember exactly who it was, but yeah, no, give me John Silva to win this fight. I think John Silva wins this fight by either KO or submission. I think he gets a finish here, and I think John Silva gets back on track. I don't think he'll ever hold gold, but I do think he is good enough to win this fight. Listen, moving on up. Man, I usually don't get super ecstatic for female fights, always because it feels like the talent gap isn't always, where it's not always where it should be. It's either a really good female or a really bad female. To me, I feel like this is a very, very technical fight. Natalia Silva going against Rose Namajunas. I'm going to go first real quick, Evan, if that's okay with this.
Yeah, go for it.
Listen, I think Rose Namajunas is technical. I think Rose Namajunas has a great jab. I think Rose Namajunas, she minds her P's, her Q's. She's good takedown defense. She understands what's going on in the fight. She has a good feel of controlling the center of the octagon. But there's one big concern that I have for her in this fight. And I'll make it very, very simple for you. It's Natalia Silva's pace. It's her volume. It's her consistently in your face. And let me ask you this right now. Is Rose going to be able to match her at this point in her career? I've seen Rose get outmatched volume-wise by Manning Fury. And that's no disrespect at all. I just think that Natalia Silva is much quicker. I think Natalia Silva is constantly in your face. I think Natalia Silva is making you think about her strikes, making you think about her head kicks that she can throw out of weird different angles. I think she's making you think about her grappling prowess. To me, I just feel like this is a little bit too much for Rose Namajunas. Now, that being said, Rose could go out there and Rose could just put on a veteran clinic. But the issue that I'm having right now is where? Yeah. Like, where does Rose Namajunas win this fight? Does she shock her like she did Zhang Weili with an unassuming, surprising head kick and knock her out cold? I don't know if I believe that in my heart, and I love Thug Rose. I want to pick Thug Rose in this fight, but it feels like Natalia Silva is on an upward trajectory that's going to put her right in the sight lines for the championship. That is why I lean with Natalia Silva in this fight. But trust me, on my heart, on my soul, I want to pick Rose Namajunas to turn back the clock, to look great at 33 years old, to prove that I got one more in me. I got one more run. Natalia Silva is the way to go in this fight. And you know what's crazy, Evan? Scary enough, Natalia Silva could finish Rose in this fight. Rose, if Rose is going to win this fight, though, she's going to win by finish. By a knockout, if she's going to win this fight, and it's going to be a surprising knockout. That being said, it ain't happening. Natalia Silva is going to continue her upward trajectory. She's going to beat Rose Namajunas. It's just a matter of which way she's going to do it.
Yeah.
Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really like that breakdown. I'm going to use a professional wrestling term here when I describe Rose Namajunas. She's definitely a ring general. She's got a great ring generalship. I mean, when you look at the Mount Rushmore of women's fighters in the UFC, I don't know if you put Rose Namajunas on it, but if you don't, she's right there. She's beaten some of the best women's fighters of all time more than once. She has an awesome resume. I mean, she's 14-7, but probably the best 14-7 I've ever seen. Just because of the name she's had to deal with. I mean, she's fought the best of the best her entire career. But with that being said, I do think that she is athletically outmatched in this fight by a pretty sizable margin. The confidence I saw Natalia Silva fight with coming down the stretch against Alexa Grasso, who I do think is a pretty comparable fight to Rose at this point in their career. I think they have about the same left in the gas tank. Rose, she's got a great all-around skill set. I just don't, like you said, I just don't know where she wins this fight other than maybe a flash knockout. Sometimes I do think Silva keeps her hands a little low, which can have her get caught. And that could be where Rose finds an opening. But I don't like to bet on finding an opening if it's not going to always be there. I think Silva's output is going to be far beyond what Rose's is. Rose used to have a great output down at strawweight. She also had good power down at strawweight. And I think both of those things have kind of declined since she's moved up. She's become a lot more reliant on her wrestling skill set, which has won her some fights. It won her Tracy Cortez fight. It won her Miranda Maverick fight. But that Miranda Maverick blew out her knee in the middle of that fight. So she was fighting a very hindered Miranda Maverick. But I don't think if she relies on a wrestling skill set, that's going to be enough to win this. I think Natalia Silva is going to piece her up for most of this fight. And I think she could find a finish as well, just because of how much damage she might be able to put on. I've always liked Rose Namajunas. I grew up watching her as well. But I feel like this is just going to be a sad night for the legend. Either she gets beat up enough where it's a pretty one-sided scorecard, or she gets finished by Natalia Silva and kind of ends this thought that Namajunas might make one last title push before she hangs him up.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think that this is one of those things where I don't know if I want to see what's going to happen to Rose in this fight. I think Rose could look really bad. I think she could make Rose look very slow, very sloppy, and really just ill prepared as well. And I'm not really looking forward to it to the most. You know what, Evan? Shame on me. I forgot a fight.
I was gonna bring that up before we move to the next one.
I forgot a fight. Charles Johnson, right? I'm missing the Charles Johnson fight, right? We got Charles Johnson taking on Alex Perez. That is the one you were referring to, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me be very, very clear. Charles Johnson is going to win this fight. Alex Perez is a vet. Alex Perez is a dude that is not easy to go in there against. I just feel like Charles Johnson is on an upward trajectory in his career. He's very balanced. He's very well-rounded. I just feel like I think the graph says it best, right? This is a guy who we saw go out there and beat, Joshua Van, the current, flyweight champion. And we know how talented Charles Johnson is. The issue with Charles Johnson is consistency. Can he keep it all together? Can he keep it, working in his favor? So I don't know. I think that sometimes he has these mental lapses. We haven't seen them recently. And maybe it could just be, hey, I'm at the tail end of my career. I'm 35 years old. I need to put everything into this last run. Let me get to the championship. Let me fight Joshua Van, because if there's anybody in the UFC roster that could beat Joshua Van, hey, it's me. Why? Because I did it before and I could do it again. I side with Charles Energy Johnson in this fight, but I do believe had this fight taken place maybe a couple of years ago, maybe Alex Perez would have been the side to pick because he is the wildly vet and all this kind of stuff like that. As far as the UFC is concerned, we know Charles has a lot of fights. But I think Charles, I think he has a snappy jab. I think he has some unassuming power. We know he has wrestling ability, and we also know he has the ability to get submissions as well. But Charles Johnson's the guy that I'm going with in this fight. What are your thoughts, Ev?
Yeah, you said it earlier with the if this fight was a couple of years ago, I think I'd lean a different way. I mean, Alex Perez fought Deiveson Figueiredo for for the title. Perez has been to the top of the mountain, but he's definitely on a decline. I think it's pretty clear. He's lost 4 of his last 5. I think he looked. I mean, he really hurt his knee in that loss to 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗢, which kept him on the shelf for a long time. And even though he had some moments against 𝗦𝗢𝗎𝗦𝗢𝗪 where I was impressed with some output and his ability to work from the bottom and get back up, he definitely looked a little slower on offense than he had in the past. Perez, I don't want to take anything away from him because he has had a pretty solid UFC run. But yeah, I think this is Charles Johnson's fight to lose. He definitely just seems on the right trajectory here. I had mentioned it in that Krylov-Bukauskas fight. I really do think momentum's a real thing in this sport. And Johnson has it. He's won 4 of his last 5, and he knocked out 𝗦𝗪𝗕𝗏𝗏 cold. And 𝗦𝗪𝗕𝗏𝗏 is a guy I'm really high on. I think he's gonna have very similar trajectory to Josh Van, a knockout loss to Charles Johnson, and then back up the ladder. But those wins over 𝗦𝗪𝗕𝗏𝗏 and Joshua Van aren't flukes. He's got an underrated gas tank for sure. This dude sticks around and fights the whole time, and he's able to put a lot of output on whoever he's fighting. Underrated power for sure. He's won 2 of his last 4 wins by knockout. He's got 8 knockouts on his resume. The guys that, Ramazan Tamirov was the last guy to beat him, and Tamirov has definitely a good wrestling base that I don't think Perez will be able to put on him. I think Johnson's length and just his output are going to be too much for Perez. I have Charles Johnson winning this fight as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And it's crazy to think that Charles Johnson is the older guy here. We're talking about.
It doesn't feel
if it was a couple of years ago, we'll go with Alex Perez. Well, it's just because Charles Johnson had to go through that UFC curve. I think the one thing that's concerning for me is we're so used to seeing Charles Johnson be super active. He only fought twice last year.
That's true.
It felt like the year before he was constantly fighting nonstop.
Yeah.
You got to wonder, is this the key to his resurgence where he's getting all these finishes? Because he's spending less time fighting. You know, guys are sparring in there, right? So you get all these, you accumulate all these rounds while you're in training camp and you're preparing for a fight. But maybe there's a method to the madness. Maybe, hey, let me slow down the process so when I'm actually in there, I can make these appearances in the UFC count so I can get to a championship. Maybe that's the mentality, because I got to think that's what Charles Johnson is chasing at 35 years old. Moving on up the card, we got Waldo Salsa Boy Cortes Acosta taking on Derrick Lewis. Let me just say this right now. Somebody getting knocked out. Somebody's getting knocked out, man. And if I lean anywhere, I lean Salsa Boy continuing the upward trajectory, knocking out Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. Weirdly enough, though, Waldo's last fight, right? I want to just bring this up, and I want to make sure I get this correct. Against, I think it was in no, it was Shamil. She fought Shamil Gaziev, but before he was going up against Ante Dejia. Did I say that name right? Dejia?
Yes, I think it's Dalia. I'm not sure, but
Dalia, yeah. If you remember, Ante hurt him.
Yeah.
He hurt him. And I think that's when he went completely crazy, thinking, hey, I could get him out of here. Obviously didn't work out in that favor. He wound up getting finished after a weird stop because he said he got poked in the eye and all this stuff like that. Then he turns it around, puts together a big performance again, knocks out Shamil Gaziev. This is the true test for him in terms of power punchers in the UFC. And it's weird. This is so strange to me because if you remember when Waldo Cortes Acosta first started his UFC career, he was a decision merchant.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, it just flipped. The switch flipped, right? And then he started winning all these fights via knockout. His first 3 fights went to decision in the UFC. First 3 fights. Now this dude has just been on a run where he's been knocking guys out. I'm sorry. Even after first 3 fights went to decision, had 1 fight, he won by knockout. The 2 after that went to decision. He couldn't even finish Robelas de Spain, right? He went to decision with Andre Arlovsky, who Andre Arlovsky's known for beating up Jack Daugherty, right? Daugherty, whatever the dude's name is. Right? And then he's been on a crazy run. He lost to Sergey Pavlovich. Then knockouts, and now he's going against Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. Now, the one thing I will say with him, it does seem whenever he gets a step up in competition, it does seem like he comes back to reality a little bit.
Yeah.
The question is, at 40 years old, is Derrick Lewis a step up in competition? Or is Waldo Salsa Boy Acosta going to do the one thing that's hurt Derrick Lewis his entire career, and that's grapple fuck him? Is that what he's going to do? Is he going to go out there and just completely erase any offense that Derrick Lewis has for the first round? What are your thoughts?
You know, I don't think the grapple method is going to be what takes Derrick Lewis out here. I think he used his grappling really well against Robelas de Spain, but Robelas de Spain also has he has never even really trained in grappling at all.
Let's not act like Derrick Lewis has good grappling.
No,
either.
But I think he's definitely a better defensive grappler, defensive wrestler. I don't want to say defensive grappler because he does lay on his back anytime he gets put on the mat. I guess I just don't I look at the guys who have out wrestled Derrick Lewis, and those are guys that their game is built around wrestling. And Waldo's game is not built around wrestling. He's a technical striker that has now moved to trying to be more of an aggressive striker with knockout power. But one thing I noticed with him is when I watch him fight guys that have legitimate power, like how he fought Sergey Pavlovich, when he respects whoever he's fighting's power, he likes to fight a lot on that back foot. He does not want to get hit with a big shot. He fights a lot on that back foot. He really relies on a leg kick. He really relies on that jab. And that's something I don't think he can do against Derrick Lewis, because the guys who finish Derrick Lewis are the guys who take it to him and are like, I hope I don't get caught with one, but I'm gonna get in the pocket and I'm gonna hit him. I mean, we saw it with Sergey. We saw it with Tai Tuivasa did it to him. They put their head down and went for the finish. Because if you let Derrick Lewis go to you, you're in immediate danger. Because Derrick Lewis will do it. He did it to 𝗪𝗓 Teixeira. He did it to Rodrigo Nascimento with a flying knee. Or sorry, no, that was Marcos Ferreira Lima. But he finished Rodrigo Nascimento. I mean, if you let Derrick Lewis come at you, he's gonna try and take your head off, and most likely he probably will, because he's done it to 20 people in the UFC or whatever it's been. I'm taking another upset here. I really think Derrick Lewis is gonna get this one done.
I love your analysis here, and let me tell you right now, the UFC needs that. You talking about opening the first UFC event on CBS Paramount Plus? Derrick Lewis knocks out Waldo Cortes Acosta and gets on the mic and says, "My balls was hot," or whatever the hell he might say.
Yeah,
the UFC needs that. This would be such a viral moment.
Oh yeah,
and such an awesome way to start.
That's why I was kind of surprised they picked Waldo as his opponent to begin with, because I thought they might give him another, unproven guy that Derrick Lewis might just be able to knock out and get a big moment on. If Waldo has turned this corner and is now fearless, going for a knockout, I think he probably does end up winning this fight. I just need to see that against a guy with legitimate power, because every time he's fought somebody with legitimate power, he fights off his back foot, he goes back to jabbing, he goes back to leg kicking, and that's not going to work. I think Derrick Lewis, if that's what happens, I think Derrick Lewis wins this. This is either going to be a Derrick Lewis first round knockout, or I could even see him being down 2, like how he's done it before, down 2-0. He's gotten pieced up a little bit, and then he just decides to go for it, and he gets it late in the fight. But I'm sprinkling on Derrick Lewis's plus 250 money line in this one.
Well, we can even go a step further. The one thing that's very interesting with Waldo Cortes Acosta, outside of the Ryan Spann fight, all of his finishes by knockout have all been in the first round.
Yeah.
Either way, I think somebody's getting knocked out. I see a lot of value.
Yeah.
I don't think Waldo Cortes Acosta taking him straight up by knockout is really value. It's probably at even money at -105. But if you think Waldo Cortes Acosta will find the finish in either rounds 1 or 2, you could then say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take Waldo Cortes Acosta to win by knockout in round 1. That's sitting at +300. Or you could say, I'm taking Waldo Cortes Acosta to win this fight by knockout in round 2. That's at +500. After that, +750, which I don't think is very likely, but I feel like round 2 or 1 is where Waldo Cortes is live for a knockout. The funny thing about Derrick Lewis is live rounds 1, rounds 2, and rounds 3, right?
Yeah.
For a knockout. But the easiest path, if they're going to pick the Derrick Lewis side, especially Derrick Lewis by knockout, is Derrick Lewis straight up by knockout, sitting at +360. Again, if you want all of our plays and what we'll be going with, it is on the TWSN Patreon, because that one is going to be an absolute banger. It's one that a lot of fight fans have to look forward to. We've got 2 more fights to go over, Evan. 2 more fights to go. Yeah. Let's start with the man who's one of the first interviews that I've done on the Right Way Sports Network, right? The former bantamweight champion, the Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley, taking on Song Yadong. Song, I got to get your opinion on this, Evan. Who we got, why, and all that.
I mean, this is a great fight. The first thing I have to say is I really wish they could have upgraded this to 5 rounds when Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes went down, because this, as a 5-round fight, had another potential fight of the year candidate. There's a lot on this card. There's a lot of entertaining fights here. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people siding with the underdog here in Song Yadong, just because of Sean's his lack of wrestling against Merab in the last fight, and then even his struggles with him in their first meeting. But I'm not there. I definitely I lean on the side of Sean O'Malley, the former bantamweight champion here. And I think that has more to do with what I've seen out of Song Yadong, in the sense of every time he seems to get a step up, it doesn't go well. The only guy that's really like a notable opponent that at the time he fought him, because he beat Henry Cejudo in a weird eye poke fight, but Henry Cejudo also on the downslide of his career. He beat Chito Vera a while back in a really close fight, but then he got beat up by Corey Sandhagen, and then he lost a pretty solid decision to Petr Yan. He had moments, but he lost that fight. The only guy that's really made Sean not look good or look elite was Merab, and that's Merab, and that was before he ever got figured out by Petr Yan. I'm somebody who believes Sean O'Malley did win that fight against Petr Yan. I know a lot of people think Yan won that fight. It was very close, but I had my scorecards for Sean O'Malley. Unless Song Yadong has upped his wrestling to like the elite of the division, and Sean O'Malley's takedown defense is really that bad, I really think Sean O'Malley's just going to pick him apart. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage. He is probably the best striker at bantamweight. I give him the edge over Corey, but that's another fight I'd love to see. I just don't think they're quite on the same level right now. Until I see Song Yadong get a win over a guy that I think is relevant to the top of the division, I can't pick him against a guy who's only really lost to 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗦𝗡𝗏. So I'm going with Sean O'Malley. Because it's 3 rounds, I think a decision is live, but there's always that potential with a one-shot knockout with Sean.
So I'm going to say this really quickly. I don't know if I agree with the one-shot knockout thing with Sean. I don't view Sean as this big power puncher or a guy that has one knockout punch at power. I think the 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗏 thing was just he was leaning. Remember, I picked him to beat 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗏𝗏 Sterling. I said he was going to knock out 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗏𝗏 Sterling only because of the body types, and I felt like it just made sense. I felt like Aljo leaned a lot, and I felt like that's why he was able to find the knockout on a guy like 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗏𝗏 Sterling. Here's some concerns though that I have, right? When it comes for the Song Yadong side. Before I even get into that though, I look at it and I say, hey, well, Song is probably the more well-balanced fighter, right? He's probably the bigger puncher out of the two, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. Song, I like the pressure that he puts on, but the issue that I have with Song Yadong is his inactivity. Mm-hmm. For being honest, he almost hasn't fought in a year.
Yeah.
Last time he fought was February 22nd against Henry Cejudo, and he won that fight pretty convincingly. Why were you inactive the entire year? You should have been itching to get back in there, calling for a fight to get back in there to get yourself into title contention. Before that, in 2023, you fought once that year against Petr Yan, and you lost. Why do you go on these long hiatuses? And now you're expected to go where your last 2 fights were against Petr Yan, who's now the bantamweight champion. The fight before after that was your last fight against a guy and Henry Cejudo, who we all can agree after seeing what Peyton Talbot did to him, is no longer near the top of the division. And now you're going up against a guy that was just champion. And is this going to be your last fight of the year as well? So I sit here and I say, if you want to look at one fight that's the most comparable to a Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, it's, well, Song Yadong taking on Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen picked him apart, cut him up on his feet, knocked him out in the 4th round, made him look bad. I think Sean O'Malley is going to evade the power punches and is going to do what he's done majority of his career. He's going to pick Song Yadong apart. I think he's going to hurt Song Yadong. I think he might blur Song Yadong's vision because his strikes are going to be so clean, so crisp. And even if you get to the point where, hey, Song is going to then try to shoot his takedown because Uriah Faber's telling him in the corner, Song, shoot, Song, shoot. And then what? Sean O'Malley might find a knee. To me, I just feel like this is child's play for Sean O'Malley in the most respectful way. I think Sean O'Malley is going to pick this guy apart and prove that there's levels. And I think the UFC is then going to try and push for, well, Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan part 2. And I know Petr Yan already wants this fight. And you can't tell me that 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗏𝗏 deserves a rematch right away necessarily because he looked really bad. To me, it comes down to this, very, very simple. Whoever looks more dominant in their fight, Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Deiveson Figueiredo or Sean O'Malley taking on Song Yadong, whoever looks more dominant coming out of that will determine the next title contender. If neither one of these guys look dominant, the next title contender will be 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. That's where I stand. But that being said, give me Sean O'Malley to pick Song Yadong apart, make him look really, really, really bad because I think he's going to do that. And I think he's going to win this fight. I think he's going to win this fight going through. If you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content from the TWSN studios. Hey, listen, we got one more fight to go over on the UFC 324 card. Again, if you want all of our plays, subscribe to the Patreon and get all of our picks at the right tier. That is where you will find me and Evan's plays at the right tier. We've been giving out picks for over 6 years. Very profitable doing so. The first card of the year, we're expecting it to be a big one. I'm expecting to clean the books out. Let's keep it rolling, though. We've got Paddy the Baddie Pimblett taking on Justin the Highlight Gaethje for the interim lightweight championship. The winner has the not so fortunate opportunity of taking on the man himself, the legend. Somebody even say the legend killer, and a guy like 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗦𝗢𝗪. Yeah, man, I'm excited for this one. But I'm going to say it very, very simple. Paddy the Baddie Pimblett is going to clean Justin Gaethje up pretty bad. Justin Gaethje in championship fights, at least the last two ones he has, we've seen him get finished via submission. Give me Paddy the Baddie Pimblett to win this fight. I think he's going to club and sub Justin Gaethje. I don't have a lot of confidence in Justin Gaethje, especially with the staph infection or whatever the hell that is on his neck, because that tells me you haven't been training. That tells me you didn't want to have the chance of losing out on this fight. So you either have been going light the last few weeks. To me, that is such a recipe for disaster. I think Paddy is just climbing up the ranks. He's on this huge momentum swing. He went out there and he eviscerated a guy in Bobby King Green. Listen, I like Paddy the Baddie Pimblett, and it seems like we're going to get the fight that we want. It seems like we're going to get Paddy the Baddie Pimblett versus 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗦𝗢𝗪. Evan, tell me why I'm wrong, or tell me why I'm right.
See, when I was making my pick for this fight, I had a sneaking suspicion that you were definitely going to go with the side of Paddy Pimblett here.
Easily.
And last year we had a pattern of going head to head on a lot of main events. And I'm gonna be straight with it. Didn't go my way most of the time. Did not. I did not have the best year in terms of main event picks against you. But I think that changes this year. I'm rolling with Justin Gaethje.
I love that.
To claim the interim title and get a shot against 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗦𝗢𝗪. Now I like Paddy Pimblett. I really do. I think he's got a lot of skills. But I really have a lot of questions with that resume and with that defense. I look at his last five.
Really?
I'll just go quick through them. He beat Michael Chandler, ragdolled Michael Chandler. That was an impressive performance.
Eviscerated Michael Chandler.
Yes, absolutely walked right through him almost the entire fight. Only thing Michael Chandler did was he landed a couple of shots on the feet, but didn't really seem to phase him. That is really the only notable opponent that I can really pick at here. Bobby Green, he's 38 at the time.
He beat Grant Dawson, who a lot of people were high on. We got to be on a good. Yeah.
Did he beat Grant Dawson? I didn't even know that.
He if I'm not mistaken, he knocked out Grant Dawson in the first round.
Oh, that was Bobby Green who knocked out Grant Dawson. Yeah. Bobby Green. Yeah, sure. But like Bobby Green, he was 38 at the time. Also shot a terrible takedown on Paddy Pimblett. I have no idea why he did that. And just got caught in a slick, nasty triangle armbar. I think Paddy Pimblett has, very slick grappling. He's shown that also against Jordan Leavitt. He got him out. Jordan Leavitt, obviously not the same tier here. Tony Ferguson was obviously on that bad downslide. And then there was that Jared Gordon fight, which you can argue he won or he lost.
He lost, but they gave it a win.
Yeah. I think he lost that fight as well. I don't put as much stock into that when I'm making this pick. I think he's improved since that Jared Gordon fight. I think he had a little bit of an off night. He looked a little slower than he normally does.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't like the way Paddy Pimblett is talking about this fight, and maybe that doesn't happen. If I just think with his defense and this whole Scousers don't get knocked out thing, I don't necessarily think that's true. We've seen this before. Guys who say they can't get knocked out can get knocked out. Justin Gaethje has very good power. If this turns into a war, I have to side with Justin Gaethje. He's been through so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's come out on top in so many of them. And this is just what he does. If Paddy Pimblett's wrestling is better than I think it is, because I don't put him at an elite wrestler. I think he's a top tier grappler. I think he's a good wrestler. If he can just pick him up, put him down, and find a submission, I won't be surprised. Then I'm wrong, and I won't be shocked. But I don't think that's how this fight is going to go. I think there's going to be a lot of stand-up. I think Gaethje's going to win a lot of the stand-up. And I think this is just going to be an absolute war. Right now, I lean towards a big moment. I lean towards, Paddy gets really comfortable in there, has his hands down like he always does. And Gaethje catches him with a clean combo. Ground and pound TKO win for Justin Gaethje later in the fight. And that's how we start off 2026.
Man, I'm happy that you're saying this, but you're wrong, brother. You're wrong. I'm going to go a step further, and I'm going to tell you this. Listen, I think I think you're putting a lot of stock right now into Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is a legend. Make no mistake about it. But this is also a guy who I have concerns about his chin. Fiziev.
There are real
Fiziev
concerns there.
wobbled him. Fiziev wobbled him in their last fight. And he was able to regroup and regather, and he put on a clinic, and he looked great against Fiziev. Max Holloway broke the dude's nose and made the dude look elementary, and he got a viral knockout against him. He was able to knock out Dustin Poirier, but we now know Dustin Poirier made the right decision in retiring because he did not look good in his last few appearances. He did beat Rafael Fiziev by decision. He did get submitted by Charles Oliveira in round 1. He did beat Michael Chandler, but he took Michael Chandler to decision. We saw Paddy Pimblett. Listen, let me just, maybe I got to be a bit on put on my Paul Heyman, right, voice and say he didn't just beat Michael Chandler. He brutalized him and he victimized him. That is what Paddy Pimblett did to him. He took Michael Chandler down, got on top of him in full mount, landed elbows, cut his face up, licked his blood, made him look like an absolute clown show in there with him. And I think that ultimately is the reason why the UFC is not interested in Conor McGregor's return fight being against Michael Chandler. It's hard to sell after what Paddy Pimblett just did to him. That being said, to me, I feel like Paddy Pimblett's striking prowess is underrated. I thought his defense was getting better. I thought it looked a lot better. Everyone said the same thing about Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler might land that big right. Michael Chandler's got extreme power, and if he finds the chin of Paddy Pimblett, it's out. And he didn't. He didn't. Paddy Pimblett was able to get out of the way, smooth, hit him with shots down the pipe, knee him, drop him. And to me, everyone talks about this wrestling prowess that Justin Gaethje has. You know, when does he utilize it? Well, he utilized it against Michael Chandler at points. But Paddy Pimblett's the wrong guy to utilize that against. I think Paddy the Baddy Pimblett has the ability to hurt hurt Justin Gaethje on the feet and then cause Justin Gaethje to panic shoot. We also act as if Justin Gaethje is some high IQ fighter. He's not. He's not at this point. Paddy Pimblett has a way higher IQ than Justin Gaethje has ever had in there. And I think that's why Paddy Pimblett hasn't been knocked out. I think that's why he walks confidently and says Scousers don't get knocked out. I think he has the ability to hurt Justin Gaethje to the body, just like Max Holloway did. I do think he has this inability, while he doesn't have this crazy extreme power, his elbows, his knees, his ways he could just break a fighter down through all of his other extremities. That is what he has working for him. Underrated calf kick as well. He has that working for him. Now, Justin Gaethje has a phenomenal calf kick. Yeah. If we're breaking down, we're actually getting to the analysis. A phenomenal calf kick.
Yeah, it's an elite calf kick.
And if he's going to win this fight, that's where he should try to set this up for himself. He should be trying to break down Paddy's calf. He should be trying to implement those leg kicks. The problem with that is, well, Justin, every time Justin starts throwing those leg kicks now, he leaves himself open for a 1-2 straight down the pipe. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be the standout, shocking performance that propels Paddy Pimblett. This is going to be the standout performance. Just like I told people, Sean O'Malley was going to beat Petr Yan. He was going to beat Aljamain Sterling, right? Just like I told people, Ilia Topuria, before everybody was on the bag, go back and watch the videos. I said Ilia Topuria was going to knock out Volk. I said Ilia Topuria was going to be the first man to knock out Max Holloway. And I was called, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I told people Tom Aspinall was going to knock out Sergey Pavlovich when everybody was scared of the boogeyman in Sergey Pavlovich. Mark my words. This is going to be the standout performance that puts Paddy the Baddy Pimblett on the mark. This is what might make him the face of the UFC after what he does to Justin Gaethje. Paddy Pimblett is going to brutalize Justin Gaethje tomorrow. And I'm going to go a step further, dog. I don't think it's going to be that close. I think Paddy's going to finish him, and I think he's going to finish him somewhere within the first 3 rounds. That's what I think. But give me Paddy the Baddy Pimblett to win this fight by finish and to go on to fight Ilia Topuria. You know how much I love Ilia. You know how much I respect Ilia. You know I think Ilia Topuria can go up to welterweight. Maybe welterweight's too big, but I think he would beat Islam Makhachev. I think he is skill for skill better than Islam. When I scan the roster of realistic candidates to beat Ilia Topuria, there's one name that comes up for me. It's Paddy Pimblett.
I don't disagree.
It's Paddy Pimblett. And I worry Justin Gaethje is not at 100% with whatever's going on with his neck. I do wonder how much was he able to train. I do wonder all of that stuff. But either way, it don't matter if he was able to train a full camp or not. I'm going with Paddy Pimblett to become the UFC interim lightweight champion. And there's that. That's my thoughts on the card. Again, if you want all of our picks, make sure you guys subscribe to the TWSN Patreon to look at the exact method and the best lines to bet to go over. Listen, man, we want to thank y'all so much for tuning into the first edition of the Fight Report with Malik Wright and Evan Theoharis. Make sure you guys follow Evan on X. Follow me on X. We'll have this show taking place, as long as there's a card, every single Friday at noon as we break down all the latest fights, whether it's a pay-per-view, right? Whether it's a fight night card. We will be here to break down all the fights. And I'm sorry, there's no more pay-per-view. Right? But you get what I'm trying to say. It's not a numbered event. We'll still be here breaking it all down for you, giving you guys our best picks, our best bets. And we hope that you guys like it as well. Let us know what your favorite fight on this upcoming card is down in the comment section. We'll be sure to talk about it, talk everything through with you guys at the end of next week. Listen, Ev, it's been a pleasure, my man. We've been talking about this for a while, man. First one in the books. I'm excited to go head-to-head to see who's going to actually come out on top. But remember, there's only one way you should be waking up, watching sports, talking sports, enjoying that cup of coffee, or at this point, enjoying your lunch. And that is the right way. We'll see you guys next Friday for the Fight Report with Malik Wright.
This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet. Well, you